Hey everyone, how's it going? A long time no talk. I know it's been a grind this week. Doing the Kahuna's Corner for the all 3 nights this week. But been trying to line this one up for a couple weeks here with our guest to do another manager interview. So the first one went pretty good. Right there in the chat, there we go, Mr. Nigerian going, what is it, 24-0, absolute hero. Congratulations, man, and congratulations on the President's Trophy. But thanks for being. He was my first guest, and a lot of managers showing some interest and getting some their opinion out here, and I look forward to having some conversations with some new guys. But we can get right into this. All right, guys. So again, host Big Kahuna 03. Here I am sitting on the chair here. And this is the interview segment between two sticks. Joining me today, his team finished top of WHL Eastern Conference. He finished with an 18-6-0 record, plus 26 on the season. Puts the nice guy act on all the time in managers chat. Owner of the Swift Current Broncos, still sinking. Welcome, man. Thanks for doing this. How are we doing today?
Thanks for having me, buddy. I'm good. Thanks again to everybody for letting me show my act of the nice guy routine. It's not an act. That's just who I am. I promise.
Yeah, it was gonna be one of my first questions was, is it an act? Because I feel like in the managers chat we see so much of like really just kill us with kindness. Even the guys that start to attack you, you're always nice to them. So that was gonna be one of my first questions. Is it an act or genuinely just a nice guy?
Thick skin. Yeah, over the years, you kind of take the good with the bad, right? So previous seasons when we had little to no success, myself or team success, I try to put my best foot forward every day, and I try to bring that to the group, whether it be good or bad. So, yeah, it's not an act. It's just kind of who I am, and yeah, if you ask my wife, she loves it and hates it at the same time. So, some people think that I'm passive aggressive, but it's just my willingness to care and just be me.
Awesome, awesome. Right on. So same way we'll start here with you, the same way we did with Nigerian. Give us one random or interesting fact about yourself.
Oof. I care more than I should. Just as I mentioned previously, obviously, love the game of hockey, live, breathe, shit, hockey my whole life. It's something that I have a strong passion for. I'm also an Oilers fan, like Nigerian. I sent you a picture. We didn't get to use it, but yeah, I didn't get to go to any games this year. So hopefully my team can do well in the playoffs, so I can get some games. And that's it's really not that much interesting about me otherwise.
Fair enough, fair enough. Quick before we get going, Def Grav, thank you for the 5 gifted subs to Slow Gazelle, Tebow 19, Jadiri Wing, Mel doing things, and Armstrong. Awesome. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. No, awesome. Like a lot of passion for hockey. I'm sure a lot of our community does too. So that's awesome that you're
Right.
doing that. And you said you're a Edmonton Oilers fan. Is that true?
Oilers fan. Yeah,
Yeah.
born and raised.
Right on, buddy. Right on.
And
Um,
it's nice to see Defgraph give out those subs. He's such a nice guy, eh? Like he bought one of our players a mic this year, or sent it to him, and it was just like he's so nice. Like I have to give him a shout out. Defgraph, you're the best, buddy.
wow, I did not know that about him, and I know him pretty well. We play a lot of games together, so that's really interesting.
Yeah.
He's a good dude. He definitely is a good dude. Egan in the chat saying "Go Flames." Uh-oh, we could have some issues there.
Not at all. I hope they do well too. It's not that strong of a love hate relationship. It's I don't the Battle of Alberta is not that strong. Obviously the Flames are better this year, so kudos to them.
Right on, right on. All right, let's get into this. So let's talk about the beginning. Looks like it was season 35 when you first signed up. How'd you learn about the league, and what made you decide to sign up?
That's probably the best question I've been asked before as well. It's when you're new, the excitement, new leagues. You knew that LG was kind of the cat's meow, if you will. A lot of people talk about how great it is, top competitive players in the world. And I don't just mean like the C, obviously the N's obviously the best cream of the crop, but even in the C, there's so many good players, and that's the original reason why I joined. Sorry,
Oh, all good. Did we lose you?
I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, cool. So,
Sorry,
but
did you
yeah,
hear my answer?
yeah, no, for sure, for sure, for sure. So,
Okay.
just wanted to play with the best players is pretty much kind of where you got it. Like, where did you like? How did you hear about it though? What was it that?
Um, through friends,
Yeah,
really good competitive leagues. There was a threes league that I was a part of for a while. Just when you meet people online, they always talk about how good LG is. The community's pretty good. Can be toxic at time, obviously, but it's mostly skilled players, right?
awesome. Yeah, I don't disagree. I think yeah, definitely. If you want to play the best players that you can play, it's definitely within LG for sure. No, great answer. Um, when you first joined, what did you find the most challenging thing was to learn about the league?
It's like information overload. You don't really know what to expect. Most guys like myself just want to show up, try to make a name for themselves, but they don't really know a lot of the rules. Like, yeah, LG does a really good job of, broadcasting those or the forums. They're all readily available, but it's a lot to take in when you first sign up.
Yeah, for sure. I remember that same kind of experience being like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? How do I do this? And I
Yeah,
think one of the biggest things to help is when you get, your first couple seasons, maybe if you get a good manager that'll help coach you along the way, for sure.
I agree, and that's the other thing too. And we get to the question later, but if you have people who are able to coach you and help you, that's huge. People in the community have been pretty helpful over the years too. So
Yeah, big time, big time. Big turnaround season from last season. So this season versus last. What was the biggest thing that you learned or changed to be as good as you were this season?
besides my position, I'd say confidence, chemistry, taking more of a chill mindset, leading more by example, trying to keep it simple. It's a group mindset. I don't know. I think this year is the first year where I haven't worried so much about individual success, and then to have it, mostly because of the leadership group. My management team is world class with Beebs and CM. Defgraph was in there. He's considered him a leader too. Obviously, he got the call up. Happy for him. Teammates. We have a lot of good, skilled players. I think the biggest thing for me is just not worrying about individual success as much. Trying to force it too much. Just like I said, being more chill.
Nice. Yeah. I feel like you can stress yourself out if you start to worry too much about what's going on, how things are going, your team's winning, your team's losing. Definitely can be a distraction too, right?
Absolutely, I agree.
Right on. So to you, what makes a good manager in this league?
Oh, that's a loaded question because I still don't know if I am one or not, depending on who you ask. Communication, commitment, respecting people's time. I think that's one of my biggest thing. If I were to suggest anywhere that appreciation to your other managers, not just yours but other teams, agreeing, keeping things simple. If you're going to give time and ask about trades or people that are available in trades via waivers, whatever it might be. I think the biggest thing is communicating. There's no worst feeling or biggest pet peeve of mine is when people don't get back to you on things and you're just like, it's like 3 or 4 days and yet you're you're active in chat. Like, is it personal or did you just forget or you know what I mean? So I think I would suggest probably commitment and communication are my best answer for that.
Nice. So is it fair to say that like if you were to give advice to a new manager, that would probably be your advice is to make sure that you're always responding to guys and um, communicating well with your team?
Absolutely. It's one of the things that you try to distill with the group. I think it's, if somebody's going to get out to you or reach out to you and you don't get back to them, it's almost like what was the point of that, right? Most people have a life outside of LG and obviously we all do. And if you're going to be a manager, if you don't have the time, if they're kind of the gone are the days where you can just show up and play, I think if you have a manager or owner like myself who wants to do majority of the work or will, that's one thing. But you kind of want to have all hands on deck, right? Like you have to have people that invest with scouting and people who know how good players are. That's important.
Yeah, for sure. And like when you talk about like everyone has their personal life outside of LG too. One thing I like to do is like if I know I'm going to be busy, I just set that expectation with managers as much as I can and be like, hey guys, like I like this season I was on a hockey trip, right? And I told the guys, hey, I'm not gonna be able to talk too much. I'll look when I can. I'm on the road. I can't do everything. But I kind of set that expectation. Hey, like, maybe I'm not communicating as much with them, but at least they know why I'm not communicating with them, right? So communication's key.
Absolutely.
I agree with you for that. But it sounded like we almost touched on something here that like you might be a little bit passionate about. And it's a fun question I think to ask is there any one team or maybe two teams or a certain manager that was the most difficult to deal with this season from a trade perspective?
You know, it's tough. There are so many teams that have good communication. There were a lot of teams that were really hard to deal with. I think we all know who they are. If you want me to name them, I'm not afraid of that. It's not personal, but I feel like in the political world, like for me, I didn't have a good experience, with some teams that kind of gave you the runaround or didn't want to answer, your calls, your trade talks, if you're interested in their players. I think, like I said, communication is huge. If I were to name those teams, I would say my difficult experiences in my past. Chicken leg, shout out to Portland. We've probably never made a trade in our history. We probably won't ever. And I think it's just mainly because we think a lot alike, where we want to win the trade outright, and neither of us are willing to ever bend on that. So Portland's up there. Um, Pliny and I have never really seen eye to eye on agreement, fair value. I get a knock. I don't know what it is, Kahuna, but some people just I haven't had good experiences with. If you ask Oshawa, they probably think that I've asked for too much in return, and I think that's fair. But just trying to make what's best out of a trade, right? You got to do what's best for your team. You want to help everyone around you, but you don't want to gift away championships. I've done that in the past. I've always tried to help friends get on friends' teams. A lot of managers aren't like that, so it's understandable, but it's unfortunate at the same time.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And hey, it's not bad to have a couple guys in the league that you just, have a little bit of a grudge against. It makes it a little more fun too. And everybody has their own different opinions on value of players or value of positions. So,
Absolutely.
sometimes you clash a little bit. And again, that's also good too. Can you imagine if every trade somebody wanted went through? Like, it just wouldn't, what's the point of having trades at that point, right? You might as well just pick
Well,
your team.
exactly.
No, that's awesome, man. And you talked about trading friends to friends teams. Have you ever been in a scenario where you've had to trade like a good friend off your team, and like how did you manage that conversation?
That's the toughest thing about the league. CHL is probably the most difficult to manage in, and obviously, I haven't managed in the upper leagues yet, or haven't in general. But yes, to answer your question, I've moved some friends, and it's not fun because a lot of people are very passionate, maybe sensitive, whether it be a waiver or a drop or a trade, or even if you don't pick them in bidding. I think all you can really do is communicate, and I think that's one thing I take pride in. I always tell people before I've traded them or moved them or dropped them in any way, I'll tell them first so they don't just get a notification that, I don't care. That's just who I am and who I've always been. So yeah, that's probably one of my biggest things, is that communicating to them and giving them the news before they just see a notification. I think that's probably the best recommendation I can make as well.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, being upfront with guys makes a lot of a huge difference when you're making moves for sure. That's a good call out.
Absolutely.
Um, who's a player on your roster that may be overlooked or is underrated? Maybe somebody that league needs to know a little bit more about without boosting him too much that he gets bid up a million. But yeah, like I like to try to find like these underdogs in the league and say they don't get any respect because it's always the same guys that get called out being the top guys. Like who's like kind of the unsung hero on your team?
For sure. That's probably the most difficult question that I can answer, because we've done a really good job this season, with not, you know, sacrificing ourselves, but dealing without people, or dealing with people without egos. There's so many great players. Like, we've been pretty blessed and fortunate to have the team that we do, because we have gotten lucky with the odd call up or send down rather. Yurko is a guy that is a beauty. Just met him this year, and he's probably one of my better friends just because of how passionate and positive he is. but he's recognized, so I can't use him as an example. One of the things I would say is, people like Get Slapped or, McAllistar, CJH is a guy on our team who's played in a lot of leagues that are not, I don't like to use the term banana leagues. He's a solid defenseman. He's very well liked. The guys love him in the room in the general sense of that he's always available. He's a positive guy, but he hasn't had a lot of LG success either. So he'd probably be number one. Number two, I would say Gilmore, 93. He's a goalie of ours.
Hmm.
He's persevered a lot in life. Obviously, he's dealing with some illnesses and some health issues, and I won't go into detail. But he's such a good guy, such a positive person. He's a guy that I care about. I go to war with. I think that's probably my number one as well as Gilmore is just because of how he's persevered and he's a good goalie, man. Like this guy is committed. Just unfortunate right now with life, and hope nothing but the best for him. And I would give shout out to him all day.
Nice, nice. That's good, man. And yeah, I hope things go well with him. I noticed, like, because especially when I'm doing my corner, I see a lot of games, and it looks like he's been doing really well for you guys when he's in net, and he's been winning you some games too. So that's good.
He's been huge. Yeah, he stepped up huge for us when he's available. And again, we appreciate it, right? And
Hmm.
that's another thing too is TCs are huge in this league. You're only as good as the players that you try to involve. And you want to try to involve all TCs. And back to one of your earlier questions, that's probably one of the other recommendations, just making sure all your TCs feel important, being involved, trying to make a name for themselves too. And you want to try to help everybody. You can't just give, roster players, obviously you have to, the right to play, but um, just guys that are available, you want to reward, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely, for sure, man, for sure. Just looking at the chat here when we were talking about trading friends, Egan says his best friend traded him once, and it was the best day ever. That best
it's
that best friend was me. We were at a
it was
terrible team, and I asked him. I said, "Do you want to be traded? There's teams that want you, a playoff team." And he said, "Yep." Actually, he didn't even say anything. He sent a gif of Slapshot with the "trade me right fucking now." So I traded him, and he's pretty
best
happy about
movie
that.
ever.
What else we
Trading
got?
friends is fun, hey buddy. Like
Yeah, yeah.
you've done it too, I'm sure, right?
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. It's all good. But I when it's friends, you can be a little bit more open with them. And we got Mike Ryan West. He said Point is a stud. Point on your
He is.
roster? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, we just called him up 2 weeks ago, a couple weeks ago, and he played lights out last night. Helped us get two big wins. They lost the third one in overtime, but again, he's really good friends with Darky, another good solid guy on our roster. Like again, we have such a good amount of depth, and I'm not trying to boast or be egotistical. Like we're so excited. It's probably the deepest team of roster I've ever been a part of. And again, just a testament to everybody. Like Point is a stud. He comes in every night. The one knock on him, and the only thing I'll say is I wish he would use his mic more, but it is what it is. Not everybody wants to talk, right?
That's fair. That's fair. But Point, if you're listening or you do watch this, use your mic more, please. Please for syncing. Just use your mic a little bit more. Okay, so
He knows. He knows.
next question here. Luckily, actually, both my guests, I've been able to ask this one too. So you've played multiple positions in the league. What is your preferred position now?
Oh God. It took me a while to really find an enjoyment playing defense. I think it always depends on your partner or the group that you're with, the style of play. It's such a vague question, sorry, a vague response, but the reality is you're only going to have as much fun as the group that you're with, and as long as you have success. I would prefer defense. I've tried a little bit of everything. I respect the shit out of goalies, but goalies have the most difficult time in EA Sports games, and that's a shutout to every goalie. I just couldn't do it. I do play it once in a while still, but it's just so unforgiving. Like you can make every save you want, but you don't get the animation. You're out to lunch. So yeah, I would say defense for now, and I think that's going to be my passion going forward. Just because I stopped caring about, like I said, individual success. Getting the puck to the skilled forwards, all these kids with thumbs, and all these moves. Like Yurko tries to pull off, um, the Michigan more and more, and it's just crazy for me. But that's a guy that can make moves, and I can't. So I'll give him the puck and watch him play hockey.
Make sure you're streaming if he ever hits that. That's definitely something I want to see.
Oh, I'm sure he'll tell you. He'll highlight it, but I'll definitely clip it for you. Absolutely.
Right on, right on. Now you said shout out to all goalies, and I have to ask this: is that even include Def Grav, who decided to ego and get called up to the NHL this season?
You know, it's a tough scenario for everybody because, like I said, managing, owning in the C, you want to look at a possibility to better yourself. Kudos to him. He got the call up. It was well deserved. Obviously, it sucks with the timing of it all. Yeah, he's still a good buddy of mine. There's no love lost there. There's no hurt feelings because it's mostly out of his control. But kind of a situation that you know, 45 minutes to an hour before game time, finding out your goalie's getting the call up is just a difficult spot, right, for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure, for sure. And then with that, like, would you, if you knew there was a good chance that he would have got called up, would you have ever used your protection on him?
I try not to live my life in the past, but yeah, that's a fair question. We originally thought that was a good opportunity to do so. I think the other thing is too, like with goalies, it's hit and miss, and no disrespect to any goalie. He's had really good career numbers. He's consistent. He definitely can carry. For whatever reason, he never started there. Definitely deserved to be there, but yeah, we should have protected him. Looking back at it, but again, I try not to live my life like that. It's kind of a mute point at that time of life, right?
That's fair. That's fair. I would never protect a goalie. That's just me. Even
It's
if
not for
Def Grav
everyone.
was having an
Again,
unreal season, I would just not even protect him. Because what's going to happen is some team's going to have a goalie that just has a shitty week, gets EA'd, and then they're just going to waive him, and I'll just pick that guy up.
well, the other thing too on the protection, I think we got to touch on. I think it's fair to say, even if a player is protected, if they want to go, they can still go. So it doesn't really help the ownership group or the management. I think it just depends on what the situation is, like you said. If they want to go up, kind of it's up to the player. Basically, all it does is protect them from going to a bad AHL or NHL team if they don't want to. It should help both parties out, not just the player. That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, this is a great conversation. If there was one thing in LG that you would change, what would it be? So imagine like being commissioner for the day. You got to make one rule change, make one change to the league. What would you change?
I don't know if I'd ever want that role. Credit to guys like Buck and the Bogs that have to worry about that on a consistent basis. And I do mean that because, they have helped me out a lot in my career so far. And I do appreciate them having to make the tough choices, with rules and, even Brody, setting everything in a standard world. The tough thing for me in LG is, like the call up system, like I mentioned, I think that's number one we got to figure out. And just to simplify it, kind of like what Ryerden said, is that uh, you can get some send downs one season, you might get some good ones, you might get nothing. And I just wish they were more of a consistent streamline. The community's pretty good. There are some toxicity situations, but I feel like for the most part, it is a fairly good league. Obviously, the improvement might be minimal compared to what I have to say. So I don't. I would suggest just the RAV system, even too, like allowing retired vets to play a little bit more games. With a team rather than have to trade them and move them around to different situations. That might be another suggestion, but kind of out of my control for that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think a lot of managers would echo your piece on like the random assignments. There should be some sort of separation of like a player that can actually play on your roster and an RV. They should be different, or even people who sign up late versus people who get sent down. Because I know in the past I've had some really bad luck. This season actually wasn't terrible for me, but I've had really bad luck in the past where you miss out on a AHL send down guy who could make a difference on your team. You end up getting either an RV or some guy who just signed up because his buddy told him about the league and has no interest in being around. So it's
Exactly.
tough. It's big time tough. So
And I did see in the chat too the 24-0. Like again, shout out to going a perfect season to Rye. He's a buddy of mine. We've had some really good chats this season. I actually reached out to him today about the interview, and I don't think anyone ever expects to go 24-0. Obviously, I hope they do carry it into the success of the playoff run. But shout out to him for making that remarkable record this season. So kudos.
yeah, congratulations. beating Windsor, Peterborough, and Erie. It's a tough go.
Did they dodge? Did they play scrub hunt? I mean, probably. Let's just be real. But at the same time, you still have to win the games, right? There are a lot of times where you don't get those bounces, and excuses get made, and they won. I mean, at least they still had that opportunity and they did it. I can't say that. I don't think I'll ever be able to say it. So good for him.
No, I'm just kidding, man. I'm happy
No,
for him.
I'm with
It
you.
could happen
I'm
any.
with you. He's scrub hunted for sure. Don't tell us any different. I
I
get it.
I'm happy for him. I'm happy for him. But yeah, like I said, I think on one of my Kahuna's corners, they're gonna have to play some tough lineups now too. So especially as they
Yep.
go a little bit deeper, I wish them the best. I wish you the best too. But chat, if you guys have any questions for syncing, feel free to put them in here. Syncing, you can dodge them if you want to. I told Rodrigan that as well. If somebody asks
There's
something
only two.
stupid,
That's respectful. I'm only going to dodge one question if it gets asked. The one thing I love about LG2 is that we can all kind of make predictions and scores, and I see a lot of good media today. In regards to just people guessing on series predictions, if you will. I will never guess on ours. Like that's just one thing I won't do. Like you'll see me vote on everyone else's. I just won't vote on ours. It's just not something I do.
that's fair. I do the same thing, by the way. I do not do that. It's bad karma.
It is,
So
right?
while the chat starts to maybe flow some questions through, I did tell you, and I also told my first guest, you get one question for me. So if you have one question for me, I will answer it.
Oh, well, I listen to all your streams. I am a fan first, and I'm not just boasting your ego. Unlike Rye, my biggest question to you is what your passion is. With I'll rephrase that in English. Your passion to media. What would drive you to consistently, be criticized? What keeps you bringing yourself back to the role? Helping guys like myself learn a little bit about media per se. What would you say is your passion to keep bringing back the Kahuna's corner?
Um, you know what, man? When I first started it, I was just like, man, like I'm interested. I started following like a ton of games. Like when I first got in the league, I was like, this is sweet watching like all these teams do different things, these different lines play each other. And I was like, it'd be real cool if somebody started doing stuff. When I first started, I called out a dud game instead of a potential blowout, and that wasn't going very well. But one of the things I like the most is just like the community involvement. I really do love people's different opinions and whatnot as well. And I'll tell you, like one way to get people's opinions is making somebody upset. And I've actually done it. Like I haven't gotten a ton of criticism on the post, but I love it when like somebody sends me a PM being like, "Yeah, you thought we were gonna get blown out. We won this game." It just keeps people engaged, and I think the community likes to stay interested. So while people
Absolutely.
like as people continue to follow or continue to ask for things, I'll keep doing it for them, because I know I love doing it. I love interacting with a bunch of different people as well. But that's ultimately what brings it back. So if it starts to die out and people stop following it, or people are like, you know what, we're kind of done, we're not, we don't really need it anymore, I'll probably move on. But I think right now, like this is my thing. I don't know how much more I'll expand. Like this interview thing's gonna be the newest piece, but I don't know how much more I'll expand. We have other venues of media, but I would encourage a lot of people to, if you feel like this is something you want to do, just do it, because that's what I did. I just did it. I just one day decided this is what I was gonna do, and a lot of people kind of took to it, and then I didn't expect it to kick off the way it did, and I'm having a hell of a time doing it.
It's one thing you guys do well, and I'll give you props because it takes a lot of time. Just like being a bog or commish, I'm sure even at being a team owner, it takes a lot of time. And it's all volunteer work, right? The appreciation that you get out of it, the feedback is huge, and you do a good job. So like I said, props to you, man.
Appreciate it, man. I really do. And that this is why I do it too, right? When I get feedback like that, it gives me the drive to continue doing it. So, let's get to the chat here. I think maybe a couple questions. Legends asking, what kind of weed Bieber smoking?
The funny thing is, so Beebs is a good friend of mine. We've known each other for I think a year and a half now. Played in other leagues. He's always consistently coming in playing on the higher end of life. He loves hitting the weed pen. He's openly admitted that. I can't even tell you the strand. I don't smoke weed. I know it sounds crazy. I just don't do it. I support people that do it. Good for him. But he has to play high. So I can't even tell you the strand or was the specific type per se, but he has to be high or it's bust. It's funny. Some guys are like that, and good for him. I just can't live my life like that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. Fair enough. Let's see what else do we got here. I don't even know if this was a question for you or me. I'm gonna throw it to you. Is Blue Regs a first round pick in the NHL draft?
Depends on who you ask. Political approach would be he's kind of been told that yes, he will be. Personal opinion, he's probably the best guy we have personality wise on the team. He's such an upbeat guy. He has the skill. It's tough, with coach. I'm not going to compare the two. I think Regs is a great dude. I don't know. I mean, yeah, Beebs got picked high. I mean, I think Regs is a little bit better in different areas, but they both have their pros and cons. I think he could be. Yeah, I think the answer to the question would be yeah. I think he could be a first round pick.
Awesome. Another one here, maybe a little controversial. So again, up to you to answer. Drunken Cheetos asks, why did you make such
I
a
saw it.
dramatic change to your team halfway through the season? We had such a good record going.
I saw it. So, it comes down to the group management decision. I was fully disclosed with them too, with the people that we moved out. The reason that the change is style of play. Style of play, the game itself, people want to play a certain way, and sometimes it works for people. A large time it does, work. Just, I guess for me, it's tough being the owner and taking the ownership hat off once in a while because I care too much. But I'm not afraid to make the difficult moves. It wasn't a fun move to make. It wasn't easy. Moving out, Deaky Pete and Ripley, they are great players. They're really good chemistry together. But just unfortunate that some of the people on our team didn't want to play the same style. And I was honest with them when I told them, but that's the reason behind it. Full disclosure.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think a lot of people don't really understand, like as a manager, those are just some tough decisions you have to make. And, when you start moving
For
good
sure.
players, you got to move good players to get good players too. So sometimes you have to do that kind of stuff. And I mean, okay, sure, you made some changes mid-season. You still finished top of your conference. So I don't know if it really hurt you too bad anyway. So, um,
It could. I mean, we did have a full disclosure on that. I mean, it did hurt us for a week and a half. It did kind of put us into a spiral where we were figuring out lines and who played better with who, and everyone on our team is a skilled player. And again, fortunate to say it. I think for us, when you move out good players, like you said, you hit it right on the head, right? Like you have to get good players back and give up good players. You can't always get good players for nothing. So yeah, it was tough, but we've recovered well and hopefully carry that momentum on into the playoffs.
for sure, for sure. Next question here. Think you'd beat Guelph in a playoff series?
I love it because they're trying to stir the pot. I mean, I don't know. We've never played you. I can't say yes or no. I would like to think we do. I'm confident in the group. And that's not against you or any other team. Like we've beat, other teams too in regular season or sorry, in club games after hours, but it doesn't matter to me because the answer to that is I'd rather find out in the playoffs than have success there than have a good individual season, during the regular season. So, no offense to you, Kahuna, or anyone else's team. Yeah, I think on any given night we have a chance to beat anybody, and that's just confidence, not ego.
So sinking saying you'll beat Guelph in a playoff series. This interview is over. I am not even going to save the VOD. No, I would agree with you. Your team should beat us in the playoffs. We're the seventh seed, right? Like that's the way
And
it's
that's
supposed to
just it.
go,
Like
buddy.
you might win a couple of games. I'll give you credit. I don't think we'd
I
sweep
won't.
you. I mean,
Not me. I won't.
it's a fair comment.
All right, let's see what else we got. Biggest upset in first round.
Oh, I'd love to see. This is maybe personally, but I would love to see. I'd love to see Portland get upset, and I think that's only because of the coach drama, if you will, beginning of the season. Definitely worth whatever it is, $8 million. Like such a good player, and I'm not going to credit the system or how it worked out, but I would love to see Portland get upset if it's just me being personal in my opinion. And even with Ergy Burgy, like I'd love to see Kamloops do well, just not against us. So I don't know. I would say Portland being upset would be my favorite.
Nice. Okay, I like that. I like that. And just because Nigerian asked the question, I'll say, no, I can't say Ottawa. There's not a chance that'll happen.
If Ottawa beats Sudbury, I'd be shocked. I picked Sudbury in 5. I was being generous on the site, but like I said, anything can happen on any given night. You never know with availability, right? And EA, who knows?
Yeah, no, for sure, for sure. I think for me, I'm going to take. Oh man, this is tough. Kingston versus Mississauga. I think Flummy's gonna find his way through it and have some playoff success. We'll see. It's a little
That'll be
bit of a
fun.
hot take, I think, but we'll see.
Ooh, spicy. I did see a question. I saw Polish, my boy Polish and Sue. The reason I use the moon emoji, I have to say this. It's funny because I use it on everything, and I think the reason for that is I smirk. I smirk like an idiot. Like I'm always trying to make a positive out of something, as you know in the chats, and you're saying goodbye to certain players or teams that got eliminated. There's a time and a place, but I think it's just for me, it's the sarcastic smile, and I'm always grinning like a village idiot. So that's the reason why I use the moon emoji, Polish.
There you go. I missed that one completely. There was no question mark. I thought that was just a statement. Polish. My bad.
It's good. It's
Shout
good.
out to Polish for letting me win against them last night and making me think that we are actually a good line until we got smacked by Sarnia 8-1 right after. Thanks a lot. Appreciate that. Holy moly, before we get to the next questions, Spads again gifting 10 subs. Thank you so much, Spads. That goes to Fug84, Bergie, Sewells, which is Cockmills, Cohesive Jupon, K Morrow, Southie, 2414, Breton, Giroux, Michiganja. Oh, I like that. Oh, and Chicken Legs. Chicken Legs should be subbed already, man. He's a good buddy of mine. That guy should already be subbed, but there you go. Thanks a lot, Spads. Appreciate that. Let's see here. Do we have another? I think we have another
Good beauty.
question. Egan just chirping me in the chat, telling, of course, we'd lose. I've never won a playoff game. That's actually a real stat, by the way. I have not won a playoff game. Fuck, like not a series, like a game. I have not won a playoff game. It's embarrassing.
But you're not the only one though. Like again, this comes back to my first season. And then when I became a manager, I haven't won in a playoff series either. But taking in an AGM role, my first season in general managers chat, and then last year was a tough one for us. Just didn't go well, and I'm not going to make any excuses. We just sucked. And then this year, it's the first opportunity we have. So you're not alone. I think there's a lot of people that have similarities to that. I mean, you want to win in the playoffs, and that's when it matters the most. So
yeah, no, for sure, for sure. Chicken's asking which team do you have being the dark horse to make a deep run in the WHL and OHL? Dark horse team.
ooh, that's a tough one. I don't want to be I don't want to pick ourselves because that's not the right thing to do. I don't want to bring on unwanted attention. I do think that Portland is the team to beat out of the West. I think Lethbridge has done a really good job, turning that ship around. Unfortunately, with the whole ban of Bishop, Razor and the group there have done a great job. So kudos to them. I think either one of those teams are probably, in my opinion, right up there. I know Everett's really good. I know a lot of the boys there. They are very deep. They play a really good structured game. So kudos to them. They're probably number one, and then Portland two, Lethbridge three. For me, out of the O, who I've watched a lot of games this year, and I think Sudbury's going to be tough. Obviously, Sioux, they're going to be tough. I personally think Hamilton, as well as or even the Kitchener Rangers, both have really good teams that have kind of flown under the radar this year. I know Morrow's done a really good job as well with his group there in Hamilton, and I think they might be a dark horse, a team to watch out for.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I think if I was to pick a dark horse, I'll just pick one. Dark horse not being like a favorite, I'll take Lethbridge. I like the way they've been playing lately.
Yeah, fair.
That would be my dark horse for
Dark
chicken.
horse. Okay. To answer your question,
Um,
I would have picked Portland.
there you go. I respect that you call them a dark horse. Chicken Legs says get me on. Yes, I will get you on at some point, Chicken. When you stop saying that you're gonna get swept in four.
Cool.
Let's see here, getting it down a little bit further. Oh, Polish. Kahuna is the only person to beat us in regulation this year, and thank you again for letting us do that, Polish. I appreciate that. Let's see, any more questions? Any more questions? No more questions. I think we're good. I think
What about you? I have a question for you, one more, if you don't
oh,
mind.
I said one more.
Your biggest team that has driven you nuts this season,
Biggest team that has driven me nuts this season.
whether
Hmm.
it be MIA, trades, hostage players being held hostage. You got to give me something. We got to hear
Oh
it.
yeah, hell yeah! I'll give you something. I'll give you something for sure. I gotta refresh
Can't say
my
Ottawa.
memory on who people are. No, I won't say.
I
I
think we've
won't.
all had our experience with Ottawa, but let's hear it from you.
Not Ottawa. Not Ottawa. There's Hmm. Sorry, this is really bad media when I have to take this big of a break. I'm just kind of looking through just for something. I feel like if I read a name, something's just gonna trigger me, and I'll be like, yeah, I got a good story about that. But um, I have one in my head right now. I just want to see if there's somebody else that I can't stand even more. Um, Kingston, no. All right. This is gonna be like completely crazy and off, like probably off the board, but Kelowna. So Sarnia kind of peed me off this season too, but Kelowna, they're just I don't know, new management group. They got some good players. They're a good team. I gave them a lot of kudos at the beginning of the season. We traded with them, I think, a couple times. I think we lost a trade for sure. But that was just two guys being buddies. Yeah, some of the give a fuck factor, I'll call it, from the Kelowna team just drives me mental. Some stuff that you see in the managers chat, or they don't put their scores in ever. Like they're always the last team to put a score in, and it just drives me absolutely mental. But
I
yeah,
respect
sometimes the
that.
give a fuck factor, like this week there was an issue with a lag out, and they just assumed that they weren't gonna have to play because they were already winning, and that stuff just drives me crazy, man. So
I
between that and
respect that.
some friend trades we made, or not making some certain trades with them, they'd probably be the team that drove me the most nuts.
The one thing I can say with the Kelowna factor, I mean, I respect everyone there. Don't get me wrong, but Gaines did a lot of work, and then Kuich did different work. We had multiple trade conversations, and everyone was different. I didn't know who I was talking to. I didn't know who was in charge. You want to be respectful without stepping on toes. I think that's where it comes back to the communication, right? Like you want the owners to talk to the GMs and GMs to talk to the owners and have a mindset. And I think that's what you got to take out of that is that they never had like structure, and that's not knocking them. I just think that something they could work on. But yeah, I understand completely. But yeah, it sucks because they are good people. They just, like you said, they don't know or they don't care. The give a fuck meter is just not there.
No, for sure, for
I
sure.
respect the shit out of that.
Yeah, that's it, right? Like when you put a lot of work in yourself and you see other guys just you know slacking, it gets me. It gets me. Other
One thing I
question.
wanted to add to that too, and just to go back to the dark horse question, because I saw Demon write it
Yeah,
up,
yeah,
if you don't
yeah.
mind. I mean, obviously, the dark horse to me is the team that's the favorite. I mean, a team that has potential to make a deep run. They're not the favorite by top team, no, but I just don't know that the teams that are in the lower positions have that opportunity. And again, that's just maybe me being biased. I don't know. But again, anything can happen on any given night, right? Like if you're going to say who's going to make the deepest run, if we could all predict it, we would say, perfect bracket. But I don't think there's a team that's in the lower standings that, with all due respect, could, and they might go 6 or 7 in one series, but are they going to do that 2, 3 times in a row? It might be tough to do this season. I just think that because there's really 4 or 5 good teams in each OHL and the dub. I think that's a little bit tougher this season. There's a lot more parity. Whereas before, you would see 1 or 2 really good teams, when it's more watered down. But you don't see that this year. I think this is the deepest the league's been CHL wise because there's more teams that have strength at the higher end, right?
For sure, for sure. Last question for you before we shut this down from Spads, and I have to respect this because he gifted 10 subs. Prediction on Kitchener versus Guelph.
I did suggest that, and I didn't do this because I'm kind of on the show today, I promise. I do think that it'll be a tough series. I don't think it'll be short by any means, and I could be wrong. I predicted, if I recall on the site, I think I said Guelph in 7. If you guys are going to win, you're going to have your good nights. And you might have those unlucky games where you just get dominated. But I think that if you guys play well and play smart, I think you could beat them in 7. But I didn't play Kitchener. That's not disrespectful. They have a really good team, so you're not going to be in easy. You're going to be in tough. But that's just my hunch. I took a guess.
Oh, perfect. You heard it here from Sinking. Guelph is winning the series. That's what I've heard. I didn't say that. I need all the help I can get just to
Or
win
Spads.
one
Yeah.
playoff game. Please, Spads, give me one playoff game just so that I can snap that streak.
Even if you don't win your games,
No,
Kahuna, like you could lose all of your games and your team could win. That would be tough to do. It's just not realistic.
no.
I think that it's possible, but there's nothing in the water in Edmonton. I just feel like anything can happen. So nothing personal, Spads. I promise.
No, it's personal, Spads. It's personal. Sinking saying it is personal. That's just an autocorrect on his side. But no, seriously, I could care less if my team wins. I need to win one playoff game. Like that actually has to happen.
Really, you would take that over winning a series as you having individual success. You'd rather go 2-0
Right now,
and get
yes.
beaten 5
Yep.
or 6.
Yep. Right now,
Interesting.
yep.
I guess if you went 2-0, you'd have to lose in 6. Sorry, yeah.
I'm
If
going to be
you won-
selfish.
I
am
respect
selfish
that.
now.
I wouldn't. I'd rather go 0-2 and my team win in 6 or 7 personally.
Yeah, no, of course, man. Of course, I'm just messing around. We'll shut this down. Last thing I'll say before I go, yes, Batherson, I hate playing against you guys. You guys had the Thurkey line in on Sunday or on Tuesday, and I was losing my mind. You can ask Saturn. I was losing my mind in the chat, and I said every single time I play these guys, I have to play this damn line. We're getting smacked. But thanks for changing your line, but we still lost, but it didn't matter. But thanks so much, Sinking, for joining. It's been a pleasure. Really good conversation. And I think maybe a lot of people, get to know you a little bit better from this interview and maybe respect and appreciate you a little bit more too. So I appreciate you doing this for me.
Yeah, shout out to everybody that supported me, and thank you for having me on the show. It is a great show, and I wanted to say that. Good luck to everyone in the playoffs, and yeah, we'll see you around. Thanks again, Kahuna.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you. All right, guys, that wraps it up. Have a great evening. Best of luck to everyone in playoffs. Thanks for all the subs. Thanks for tuning in. And yeah, we'll figure out who our next guest is, but I don't know as of today. We'll figure that out. I'm sure Spads will be on this show. I know Chicken wants to be on this show, and Cax has mentioned that too. I'm a little bit nervous about Cax, so we might have to do some disclaimers for him. But again, best of luck to everyone in playoffs. We'll be back soon. Have a great evening, guys.